But in a competition like this, sometimes those RTX 2080 Ti's can get affected by a virus S, and then that can combine with a bang baby and cause all sorts of problems. So in 2018, this is the 10th anniversary of this overclocking tournament, and there's a total of 20 competitors playing for first place prize pool of 6,000 US, second place is 5,000, and third place 4,000. Now there is also a bonus 20,000 US up for grabs for every world record that is broken. So if you break a world record at this event, there's a $1,000 piece for each of those records. And in last year's 2017 event, there was 16 world records broken in Thailand. If you haven't seen that event already, I'll put the link up here for you guys. Though in terms of this competition itself, there's 4 different benchmarks ranging from TimeSpy 3D Mark to Port Royal, the new ray tracing benchmark, and then moving across to Cinebench R15 on the CPU side of things, as well as the GeekBench multi-core benchmark. Now in terms of each of the competitors and what hardware they're using, they all receive an RTX 2080 Ti Special OC Labs edition. So I'm told there's only 100 of these made, and they feature a 16 plus 3-phase power design, as well as having 3 8-pin connectors, and also a special sample BIOS, which is not going to be released to the public, with of course some very generous overclocking settings there, enabling them to extract the most out of the LN2. Also equally as crazy is they're using Hall of Fame 4800 megahertz XMP profile memory, CL19262646, and they are putting custom heatsinks on this memory too. But anyway guys, as this competition continues, I will update you on all the twists and turns, as this is really exciting when you're here in person, and I'll try and give you the best experience possible on the showroom floor. So starting out this competition, it looks like all the competitors are going with the CPU-bound benchmarks, that being Cinebench and also GeekBench multi-core. And they have set a ceiling for the clock speeds on the CPU at 6 gigahertz, so the competitors can keep it fair across the board and not have someone lock out with Silicon Lottery, for example, where we do know, especially with the 9900K, that there is some big variance when it comes to those CPUs and locking out. Also, when we move on to the graphics cards themselves, the 100 samples here of the RTX 2080 Ti OC Labs editions are binned, so it does keep this competition a lot more fairer in that the person with the most skills on this day will come out ahead. Some of the strategies involved, however, are really interesting already. Some are just quickly getting the Cinebench and Multi-Geek scores done and dusted, and then moving on to the GPU scores, and then moving back to the CPU scores later. But for instance, a competitor who won 2016's competition, Lucky Noob, and he's actually going for the CPU rankings #1 on both straight away and taking his time, and then he's going to finish up with the RTX 2080 Ti scores. I guess trying to seal the deal from 2017's winner, Alex Rowe, who's currently on the leaderboard at 2nd place. Now, besides all this, I was speaking with Galax in relation to the RMA rates and all those rumors you've been hearing about RTX cards failing, and they tell me that nothing's unusual about the RMA rates on their RTX 2000 series cards across all product SKUs. They have heard, however, some of the Founders cards were having problems. So if there is any truth to those rumors, then it would be within relation to the Founders cards themselves, and not the cards that the AIB partners, or at least Galax, have been testing out. However, speaking of RTX cards in late 2018 from Galax, they are keeping up that commitment with their EXOC models, having a clean aesthetic, but also bringing really good value to the table. And then if you want to step things up and you have a higher budget, they have the Hall of Fame series cards, bringing that bigger and juicier VRM and bigger PCB, as well as that massive cooler on board. Though as for Australia and RTX cards, they tell me that the 2070 is their main goal, and they will be revamping their EXOC model, which they then will allow me to review for you guys on the channel, so stay tuned for that. But also with their DDR4 memory, they are, of course, as we saw before with these competitors, releasing some aggressively timed memory, as well as bringing what I thought is some of the best looking aesthetics to DDR4 memory. I was confused. They had the mirror style finish, but it looked like it was continuing on, like kind of translucent. I had to scratch my head for a second, but they are releasing different SKUs of those across Southeast Asia, yet to hit Australia with some of that DDR4 memory. I also forgot the golden microphone this time because I was told to cut down on all the gear that I could bring. So let us know in the comment section too if you are missing the gold microphone as much as I am. Scratch that, let's move on to a quick 80s style tech yes lovin' shot. So a little bit of an update now. There's only half an hour left on the multi-benchmark competition, and that started at 10:30 and it finishes at 3 p.m. So we've only got 4.5 hours in total to win across those 4 different benchmarks, and currently Lucky Noob is still out in front at number 1. So this is getting pretty tight knit where some of the competitors are really racing to get their scores validated. In this case, they have to put their hand up and then have an official come over and validate the scores with pen and paper. But after 3 p.m, then the 20 competitors will move across with an additional 2 hours to then try and break individual world records. So the competition has concluded for the first round of the multi-benchmark competition, where each benchmark was actually weighted 25% each. And in the end, Bullshooter came in third, knocking off Lucky Noob because his graphics card managed to go above 2.5 gigahertz on the core. Second place was awarded to Dan Cop, who scored 2.55 on his RTX 2080 Ti. Then number 1 was Ralph, coming in with a massive 2.6 gigahertz core clock, and that enabled him to win both the TimeSpy and Port Royal benchmarks. And then of course the CPU benchmarks weighing in, but all the top 3 competitors did pretty well across Cinebench and also GeekBenches. However, I was talking to last year's winner Alex Rowe, and this time around he just came into some really bad luck. His first RTX 2080 Ti, it just died, and then his second one didn't do so well. Plus he had motherboard issues where it was too wet, so he had to replace his motherboard during this competition. So this is what it all comes down to on the fly when they're time strapped. But now there's some additional time given to all the competitors to try and break world records. So we're gonna get on inside and see what magic can happen. So I'm now standing outside, and after 2 hours of intense competition for the world records, 9 in total were beaten, those being Firestrike, Firestrike Extreme, 3D Mark 11, 3D Mark Vantage, Hardware Bot Prime, and also 3D Mark 11 Physics, Catzilla 720p, and also GPU Pi V3.3 for CPU 1B, and also the 100M version. Now another interesting thing is that 2 of the records were taken out by Mad, who is actually the developer of the Hall of Fame division with Galax. So I guess that's a really cool thing that Galax have employees that not only design the products, but they're also enthusiasts themselves. So everything from the aesthetic to the VRM to the PCB design is made by an enthusiast. And I guess that's why in ways Galax are on the rise in terms of being one of the best GPU makers out there. And certainly all the cards that have come through on my channel have definitely more than impressed me. Whether it's been a premium item or a value for money play, they're definitely covering both bases there. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed today's coverage of the GOC 2018 event in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button. Also, the 3 winners were announced and they got to take home their prizes, as well as the fact that they were giving away graphics cards and giving away some merch. I scored myself a pretty cool hoodie as well, but it's pretty hot. I'm not really gonna wear it here in Vietnam. Though anyway guys, let us know in the comments section below what was your favorite part of the event. Also meeting up with viewers and subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Love each and every one of you. This is Boo right here, and he's taking me around Vietnam, showing me some of the underground deals. So there'll be another video on top of the parts hunt. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon.
Peace out for now. Bye.
So now after 2 hours of intense competitions for the world records, the results are in and over 9 world records were broken. That being Fire Strike, also Fire Strike Extreme. Oh, crap. It's like a wedding going on. Oops.
I got the crosshairs all lined up.